we have two types. The next step partnerships that we're pursuing for the cislunar habitats, where the industry contributes some of their own money to development of the systems. We also have the Lunar Catalyst partnership, which is working with 3 small companies to develop commercial lunar payload delivery services. And much the same way that SpaceX and Orbital Sciences resupply the space station with commercial vehicles, we want to extend that model to the surface of the moon. So NASA would pay commercial providers to land payloads on the moon. Those companies don't have these capabilities yet. We're working with them to help them design their systems, to do analysis, to do testing, but we don't give them any money. It's all support through Space Act agreements, and a lot of these companies are getting ready to fly their first lander missions within the next couple of years. So those are examples of public-private partnerships, and I mentioned crowdsourcing earlier. We have the NASA Tournament Lab, where we issue challenges to the broad community, and these are problems that NASA is looking for new ways to address. And we award a couple of $1,000s to a person. It could be anybody in the world. It's advertised widely on the internet. So somebody in a foreign country could send an idea in that's really innovative, and we would give them a couple of $1,000s to come and tell us about that innovation and to work with our teams. We also have other innovative ways to engage the public, like the CubeSat launch initiative. These are very small spacecraft, about 10 centimeters on the side, and they're primarily developed by educational institutes, high schools, colleges, even elementary schools. And it gives students hands-on experience with developing spaceflight hardware. So we try to find launch opportunities through our CubeSat launch initiative for these small spacecraft. And we've launched about 46 CubeSats so far. And by doing that, we've actually learned a lot from the educational organizations that are building these CubeSats, and we're applying it to our own programs. We have several CubeSats that we're developing for Exploration Mission 1, which would fly by the moon and look for lunar resources, for example. So it's a good example of how reaching out to the public has helped NASA internally to innovate its own programs. Intellectual property is a challenge with some of these public-private partnerships. It seems like contract negotiations always take a lot longer than we initially anticipate, and it usually comes down to an issue of intellectual property, who owns the great idea that's going to come out of this research effort. And in general, NASA wants to have the rights to use that idea, but the companies want to protect it because it's future business that could be derived from this idea. So we have to build a trust between the two different objectives. And we at NASA try to ensure that the intellectual property of the company is protected. We don't share it with the wide world. We don't allow other companies to see what is going on in another company. So it is a challenge. We haven't really come up with a great way to fix the problem. It's just because every case is a little different. And so we have to just really pay attention to the commercial needs and make sure that we can accommodate that. But at the same time, NASA needs to be able to use the technology because we're paying for it.